Bienvenidos to
Merendiando. Our guest today is Mela Pabón, a Puerto Rican improviser, writer, illustrator, and astrologer who's garnered almost 1 million followers on Instagram with her digital monthly horoscopes and illustrated art.
In this interview, we talked about Puerto Rican slang, Mela's connection to Latin culture while living in a U.S. colony, and creating and running her own brand. Also, if you have your phone near you, go to check-in Mela's Instagram, which is on the show notes, and try her Instagram filter, Bola Mágica, for answers to your deepest questions.
You should know that this episode is in Spanglish, which is super cool. ¡A fuego! Let's get started.
Antes de empezar esta entrevista, we were playing with your filter on Instagram.
Ah, el de la bola.
Sí. Y descubrimos, we discovered our futures.
What did it say?
Not good things for me.
You have to do it until you get the answer you want.
Right. Pues tengo una pregunta para ti. Like, ¿tú qué crees en digital divination? So divination es como esa práctica de esoteric, like to shuffle something and to get something by chance, like tarot cards, como tú sabes. Pero esa práctica de divining, de escuchar del otro
como
lado.
Un oracle.
Sí, pero digital, porque esto es tu filter. So, ¿tú qué crees?
I love it.
Yeah?
That's how I make decisions.
But
Really?
you just said you just keep shuffling it till you get the answer you want.
Yeah, because that's how manifestation in life works. If you want it, and sometimes you know the answer of the things you're asking. And, if you ask, what will I do and what do I want in life, or what's going to happen with my partner or whatever, sometimes you know the answer. You just want to hear another answer.
That is so true.
Yeah, that's why people do it, and they get upset when they don't get the answer they knew they wanted in the first place. So you just have to be happy and like manifest. I manifest a lot.
¿Cómo?
Como, like, I think surrendering to, I don't know, I have like this, whenever I'm like on the borderline of, for example, during the pandemic, I didn't work since February. So my last paycheck I got was in February, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, like, because I don't have savings. I'm Latin, and
Yeah.
That's the best answer.
yeah, money is to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then this happens. and you wish you would have saved. So to me, surrendering is making everything you can, try to manage how you're gonna make it through, and then but also believing maybe everything's gonna be fine, like I don't know, money comes when I need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really personal. Like, I wouldn't preach this on anyone.
Yeah.
That could be like really chaotic.
But that's your strategy.
Exactly. That's what I do to feel good when things are not going that well. I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine.
I feel like you give that peace of mind to a lot of people through your work. You're constantly like, chill.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. You're amazing. Like, especially during these times that everything's collapsing or not. It's like things are falling apart, but then there are other things that are happening that are new. And for example, to me, it was like a really, como digo, pausado. Como I didn't have any creative intensity.
Yo también.
So it was like, write what you would like to read. I don't know. Hopefully people are better.
If I would describe Madame Mela, I would say she's an artist astrology of the internet times.
I could agree.
How did how did it start? Because I know you from improv.
Uh-huh.
So I know you from the world of improv.
So you're also a performer.
And actually we had a question for you about this. It's like, how do you choose which medium to engage depending on your art, when it's live comedy or when it's illustrated digital comedy?
Well, I think like I have like a core interest, and it's writing, especially like comedy, and I really enjoy comedy. I studied in the university creative writing, so I've always had, that's like my core interest. So astrology, for example, I see it as a narrative medium or outlet, because the planets have meaning, the houses have other meanings, and then you just connect the dots and create a narrative based on the position. I don't know, I see it like that, and that's how only I can enjoy doing it. And then improv, for example, I think it's an amazing tool for writing too, and stand up as well. Like I started doing stand up because I don't want to be necessarily like a novel writer or a poetry writer, or like I wanted to explore in my interest how I could use writing as a vehicle. I'm inventing like metaphors here, but
No, it's making sense. It's going great.
yeah. So stand up, for example, I love stand up. I was always seeing stand up. I have always liked comedy. And then I just started watching a lot of stand-ups and trying to understand the format of the narrative. And then I started writing it was a really interesting experiment. And then I just booked a date and tried it out. And also improv, I think, has been a really important learning experience.
What was the first time like when you tried it out?
I think I'm still not that good,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it a lot. So I don't care that much, because I think improv also lays out in front of everyone like personality issues or things you're working on in your daily life.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm fucking
For
scared of improv.
example, I realized I was too scared to like I always wanted to say witty things and comedy things, so I wasn't necessarily listening to what was going on. I was like, wit, funny joke. And then I started noticing how in my daily life I tend to be like that. Like I don't know how to explain it. Interrupting people, for example, that's something I realized I did in my regular life, and I did it, and when I saw it being portrayed on the stage, that I was doing it.
You've been exposed.
Talking about improv, I know you have a duo called Non Gratas. And what I love is you are from Puerto Rico, but your improv partner is from Argentina, but she lives in Canada. So how did you and Patricia, who's your improv comedy duo, how did you met?
We met in Colombia, actually. So
Latin American love story.
So we went to this improv. It was like an improv school, like part of a university program. And then it was a really intensive 2-month, every day improv sessions with different improvisers from all around Latin America. And then Patricia and I were the only people that weren't from Colombia. So we immediately bonded in we're new here. But it was like a match made in heaven. I think the first time we met, it was like I really love to see her perform. Like her ingenuity, el ingenio, ingenuity,
Sí.
like her wit, how to say the perfect. I remember one scene she did, and I always tell her that I'm never forgetting this. That it was a scene, and there were like two sisters fighting. It was like a discussion, and then there was the oldest sister and the younger, and Patricia was the younger, and she told her sister in the scene like, "You left me my mom's uterus, uterus filled with shit."
Oh my God.
And I was like, that is such a good discussion piece. So yeah, and then she wrote to me like 6 years after that. We hadn't seen each other for 6 years, and she wrote like, "Hey, come visit me to Toronto, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Sure, let's go."
That's amazing.
You just went. Was it not the winter? Like, why did you come?
That's really winter.
It was. Oh my gosh, so brave.
I love when you in bio information of the improv duo, it says that you perform in Spanish, Spanglish, and drama.
Yeah, I mean, drama is, yeah, it's universal. I think the thing is that everyone experiences drama, but they react to it differently. And I think Latin Americans culturally we are shaped to receive drama with really intensive like
Yes.
like we were taught to feel and express how we feel, either verbally or
Singing.
singing or
Cooking.
everything. We do everything dramatically, and I love that.
So then, what's like one of your favorite examples of melodrama from Latin culture, whatever that might mean to you? Latin culture.
Yeah, just starting with music. Like
Hmm.
we had in Non Gratas, we had a segment that was like a trivia where we gave out lines from songs, from Latin American songs, and we asked the audience, is this a song or a police report?
What?
Yeah, because they're really insane.
Oh my God.
Like, no, you're mine forever and nobody can take you away from me. And then, like, if you put every lyric of the Spanish songs we grew in, they're really intense. And then you put it out of context, and maybe for someone that's not used to those intensities that are really politically incorrect and hasn't aged well at all.
Oh, damn. They're like, this might be a crime scene, actually, not just my mom's favorite song. True, though.
It was, yeah, song or, yeah, police statement.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, it was obvious there were songs because they were like, "Hey girl, you're mine," and
Yeah.
we could do another podcast like analyzing
Yes.
the intensity.
Oh, yeah, that sounds amazing. So I'm just curious, like, so much of your work, because you do like improv and writing, and it's awesome. And then you also do this like digital art, astrology whole thing. You've got so many fingers and so many pots. But one thing that joins them all together is that it's really a lot about like observing and analyzing human behavior, like, and culture. So what does Latin culture look like to you? What defines Latin culture to you?
Yeah, this is like, for example, I'm my Latin identity is really complicated because, for example, I come from a colony of the US.
Mm.
So it's like I feel a lot of connection with the Latin culture more than a connection with the American culture, but still we are identified as Americans. And I mean, I live in a constant cultural disjunctive where it's like you're treated like you're American, but no, but yes, it's really complicated. And I think Puerto Rico has what it takes to be like an independent country. And there are a lot of people producing really important cultural things and contributions worldwide. But then there's like, I don't know, like a huge limit on our identity as Latins. And we have an American passport, and then everyone's like, oh, but you're lucky. And it's like, well, I'm not sure. For example, we have a ley de cabotaje where everything we consume and even products that are, I don't know, for example, if someone from Dominican Republic sends something to Puerto Rico, it has to go first to Miami and then from Miami for taxes and shit. So,
Ew.
So everything gets here in a delay with a really heavy tax. Living here is really expensive. Like we are, I think, historically living in a really interesting and complicated time. And I think I can relate then to the Latin America struggles and fights for independence. And I don't know, I think we have that in common, like
I don't even remember if it was last year. I don't understand time anymore, but like Puerto Rico really defended itself recently, like this year.
Yeah.
Right? There's like a bunch of protests and like you overthrew like a president or something.
Yeah, the governor. But you know, still, even though we unified for that moment, like now is the time of elections.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that gonna translate in the voting? And you know, because it's really weird how it works here, because we have a colonized mind. You know, it's like a Stockholm syndrome. Like it's like, oh, like, yeah, you're taking a lot away from us, but you're giving us like a little bit back of the things you take. It's like a weird relationship. So summarizing.
Latin culture, what does it mean to you? All of that.
Complicated.
Yeah, es complicado.
Es complicado. Yeah, but I really relate to Latin culture in general, even though I'm like in an isolated island with a different type of, I don't know how everything works. But yeah, we're a family.
We all got colonized by the Spanish one time.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's how we were together.
So this podcast episode will come after the US election.
Like the day after.
November 4th. So we were gonna ask Madame Mela, what does Madame Mela see for the future after November 4th?
Please give us answers.
Oh God. I think the I'm gonna have to ask
Instagram filter?
my Instagram filter, because these elections are, hopefully Trump doesn't win.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Like, I didn't want to say hopefully Biden wins, because but hopefully Trump doesn't win.
Yo, should we pull out the Instagram filter right now?
Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's see.
Okay.
We got to pick the right question to ask. Like, very clear. So what is it like?
Will Trump lose these elections?
I'm so nervous.
Obviously.
Obviously. Oh.
This works.
It works.
It works.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
scientific proof.
Wow. Thank you, Mela. Wow.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Manifesting.
Yes.
Talking about Latin culture and Spanish, have you ever been on an improv set with other Latinx people and you didn't know what they were saying, even though you were speaking basically the same language?
I think we always understand a little by context and like body language, but there are a lot of, for example, the words we have in Puerto Rico, we use a lot of Spanglish. And the accents are different. So, for example, Puerto Rican Spanish is really fast, and we're like, like we talk like we're singing, and and like
You talk like you have somewhere to go.
uh-huh.
You're very busy.
And then that we share that with people in like in the coast Spanish. For example, Dominicans also speak very fast and like with a swing. And then yeah, I think it for that maybe people don't understand me because I speak too fast, or maybe, and I also tend to speak like instead of projecting outside, I speak like to myself. Like, are you mumbling?
We saw that on your Instagram. You created and illustrated a Boricua glossary.
Yeah.
Glossary. That was an amazing accent over there.
love that.
Glossary.
Love it.
Glossary.
Glossario.
Un glosario
Rosario
boricua.
Dawson.
Did you have like people looking at that and you became a little bit like maybe self-conscious to be like, oh, maybe I should explain a little bit more?
Yeah, because something like what I was talking earlier about our identity and our identity crisis being a colony and all this is that we are also expected to every time someone from Puerto Rico does something in Spanish, we tend to neutralize our language and our Spanish, and we have to speak in a general neutral Spanish Miami Univision way. And
Univision.
and for example, to me it was really important to embrace our language and our slang and all that. And then people, I think it works for me as a writer, especially for horoscopes, because I wanted to write them as I would tell them to a friend, or and then yeah, people didn't understand like certain words, and I created the glossary to, instead of limiting myself, expanding like the language, and it's been great. I think people have received it well. And reggaeton is, Puerto Rican Spanish, and people from Latin America like it, so they use my glossary and understand and use it to understand reggaeton songs or other Puerto Rican. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to try to use a word.
Yeah.
Okay. Qué bien fue mi entrevista con Mela Pabón. A fuego. No?
Maybe you
Wrong.
podrías decir estuvo a fuego.
Estuvo a fuego. Okay.
Ajá.
Estuvo a fuego. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So for everybody who was listening to this, please go to the Boricua glossary and then try to use those words in your day-to-day life.
Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be in the show notes.
Sí, para que no hablen español al garete. No, we have so many, and what's interesting, it creates a dynamic, like a conversation in the comments, and people are like, oh, in Mexico we'd say this way, and then oh, in Colombia it's this way. So it's really interesting what it provokes and how it unifies Latin America based on our Spanish, and how unique all the Spanish is.
Because it's so much land to cover. Like we're so far away.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
I also love because I was looking at the glossary and you have cabrón, and like also like I don't know, as a Mexican person, we use one word that it can mean the worst but the best at the same time.
Exactly.
Like,
and I think every Latin country has that word that is like the word for example, in Argentina, it could be boludo. For example, in Colombia, it's marica.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Really?
yes.
Yeah, they use it like as a hi, as a marica.
Like my friend.
Like a friend. It depends on the intonation.
Right. Well, that makes me pause, but that's me, first generation Mexican to Canada, with my little a little political justice heart, but cool.
No,
Sounds
yes,
cool.
and it's always really interesting. I always try to tell people the universal word in Spanish is fart, like pedo. Like you can use
Yeah.
pedo for everything.
Right. And
Yeah.
then
Like a good thing.
and there are multiple words that are like that. For example, in Puerto Rico it's cabrón, which is like, hey, cabrón, que la que
I use
estuvo
cabrón
cabrón.
a lot.
It was like
Yeah.
estuvo cabrón, which is it was amazing, or
O estuvo cabrón. It was really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
como está cabrón is like I'm having a bad time. Or tú eres un cabrón, which is you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Or exactly, yeah.
I
And
would
then-
use tú eres un cabrón like you're ahead, like
Yeah, like you're amazing.
Yeah,
you're
like very
smarter,
smart.
like que cabrón.
exactly
Yes.
that also works. I love that.
Oh my
word.
God.
And puñeta is amazing.
Puñeta.
Puñeta is like when you hit your little finger, you're like puñeta. Or if someone wins, you're like puñeta. Or it's like anything.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Puñeta means like punch in my head.
Well, it also is like masturbatory.
Yes.
Oh.
In
Or
other
for me, it's
Cool.
like, oh, que puñetas. It'd be like, oh, that person is really like silly or like.
Oh no.
No, in other countries it's that guy is masturbating.
You really need to be clear on your intonation and the context
No,
if you're gonna use
and that is interesting too when Latin countries share Spanish speaking people share one word but they have different meanings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For example, it happened when I went to Medellin. I went to like a scene festival and I was there was this girl seeing my work and she was like, oh my god, esto está bien charro. And then in Puerto Rico, charro is like, this is ridiculous, horrible. It's like, you don't want to be that. Charro es como, you tried, but it's not.
Oh damn.
And then this is hysterical. Charro is like hysterical.
And in Mexico, it's a
So,
man
did you-
who sings with a sombrero. Like
Yes, I'm like charro is like a cattle rancher.
So yeah, I remember she was saying that and I was like, how dare you?
You're like, okay, well, it's $50 for you.
Yeah,
so.
don't tell me that on my face. Tweet about it or something.
that's why the Boricua glossary is so important. Like if everybody had their own glossary, then we can be like,
Yeah.
before laughing or getting mad, you just look at your phone and you're like, ah.
Yeah, you should do an app.
Yeah, an app. Yeah. So yeah, you manage your own business and your own brand, and you make zines and you do gallery shows and digital art. So, like, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about running your own business so far?
Wow, that it's harder than I thought.
Ooh.
Wow. You know, because it always starts in a really calm manner, I think. For me, for example, I was working in advertisement and then I hated it and I had started doing comics and I quit my advertisement work and I just started working at a hotel and blah blah blah. And then I was doing it as a hobby, but it was working. So I was starting getting jobs and I could have financial independence based on illustration. But then when you want to, solidify it and make it more legit, like a business and like, there's so many things going on. And for example, to me that I have to write, I have to draw, I have to, I have to keep so many things in check. I don't know how people do it. Like I've been like there are people that really have that business spark in them, that are really responsible and have everything in check. I think I'm really laid back, and to me to enter this state of and I love it because it's retante. How do you say that in English? Retante.
I would say like it challenged you in a good way. Like
Yeah, it's like a challenge because I'm really lazy. Like
I love that.
if I could, work by just having naps and just living
Yeah.
like drawing, but without pressure, I would be really happy. But life doesn't work that way. So
Well, we're working on it.
it's like a maturity challenge that I'm grateful for.
Well, you have a big business to run because you've got almost 1 million followers on Instagram.
I don't know how that happened.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm
What
happy.
I mean, what you make is good, is what I meant. It's like that's why it happened.
No, I really
Yeah.
prefer doing this and having the day-to-day challenge to let's make this work than being at an office. Like I was
Yeah.
disintegrating. I remember I started my first week and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, let's do this, Bob. It was my first month. I'm like, yeah, let's work. And then the second month, I was like, wait, do I have to do this every day until they fire me or I quit? Like this never ends. Yeah, no, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
But you have to
Yeah.
make peace with it too. Like knowing what are your limits and how can you be your best version, especially in creative areas. And every creative job, you need to enjoy it, because if not, then the outcome it's not gonna translate completely, I think.
Yeah. You do have a lot of like writing in your illustrations, which I really love. But are you ever, you said your first core love is writing. So do you ever think like, are you satisfied with that right now, or do you want to do other things in the future?
I think the core will always be writing, even though the work doesn't portray that much text. For example, I would love to write a comedy series, or like I want to keep exploring formats, like TV writing. Maybe I would love to do animation, like an animated piece. Right now I'm solidifying my brand and my work, and like making sure it's solid so I can maybe have more collaborators in my page, and then start also have time to do other things I enjoy. That's why I love improv, because you just have to show up.
Yes.
That's it. Just be on time.
So, speaking of collaborators, you've had some really famous collaborators, Mela. Like you've been like, that's fancy. Monica specifically wanted to ask, how did you feel when Ricky Martin liked your post?
I didn't even see that. Like, it was someone commented. Someone said like, and it was really funny because it was in a post of Isabel Pantoja, which is a Spanish singer, and she's been really controversial and like intense too. And it was from a scene, like some like scandal that happened, that the paparazzi were taking a lot of pictures of her, and she was I don't know the gossip well, but she was like with her husband, or I don't know, and she was caught saying on camera like dientes, dientes, que eso es lo que los jode, which is like show your teeth, show your teeth. That's what makes them mad, like the paparazzi.
Oh, nice, nice.
If they see you happy, they get like fired up, they get mad. So to me, that was like, what a great
Quote?
yeah, what a great mantra. Dientes, dientes. Keep smiling no matter what.
Yes.
And then I drew that scene, and that's the post Ricky Martin liked. And someone commented like, oh, Ricky Martin liked this post, and I'm like, where?
Yeah, I'm sure you get like a million, like just so many likes, so it's hard to keep the track of them all. But I feel like there's bigger situations than even just liking. Like the collaboration you did with Bad Bunny on his tour looked so cool. How did that come to be?
Well, he wanted to make a concert, a different type of concert. he wanted to have different types of experiences. Instead of doing the traditional concert where you buy the ticket and then you just wait for the concert to start, he had like a nail salon where you can get your nails like designed. There was like a game room, and then we made these booths where people put their info and then a random horoscope came out, and that was really exciting because I think that's the first time I was like, wow, like this actually has an effect on people, and that's because likes and all is whatever, it's digital and it's a really distant interaction. But for example, going to the concert venue, which is the biggest one in Puerto Rico, and seeing people lined up to have their horoscope, I'm like, oh shit, this is real. Like, yeah, this is real. This is happening. I don't know.
Yeah, like, yeah, real people. If everyone had to line up to like your post, that line would be so long.
I mean, I wouldn't do a line ever. I mean,
It's just like different to see people in person. That's all. Just like,
interacting directly with them and just like feeling the love and I don't know. It was. I think that's the first time I like came in peace with what I was doing and felt proud, like a milestone.
We have a question from our last week podcast guest, Armando Minjares, and it says, what role has Celia Cruz played in your life?
Imagine. Celia Cruz, I mean, for example, I feel like Puerto Rico and Cuba have a really, really strong connection because we, more than Latin, we're Caribbean, and like we share a lot of cultural aspects, and Cuban music have always been present in my life, especially salsa. My parents were like salsa enthusiasts, and I grew up seeing salsa dancing and when I was little. And so Celia Cruz, I think every Puerto Rican and a lot of Latin Americans can say is a really emblematic icon.
So did you listen to her music growing up? Or like, do you have any memories specifically that Celia might be present?
I mean, I remember the wigs and her bigness, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's the first time I saw that much bigness, and she kept it up until the end, and
Yeah.
and that's really inspiring, you know, that she says this is who I am, and I'm big, and you saw it in her performances and in how she portrayed herself. I wish I had the courage.
You wish you don't feel like you do?
I think I'm a little bit more shy. I would like to. I don't know. People are different.
Yeah.
I really respect genuine people, you know, and people that embrace their bigness, whether it's big or your most big.
Awesome. So we ask every guest to ask a question for the next guest. So that's what we just did for you. And we're wondering if you have a question for our next podcast guest. And that person will be an artist of some kind in the Americas.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me see. I'm gonna go astrological.
Oh, Dine.
What's your sign and what personality traits do you think you share with the people of that sign? I don't know if we can arrange it in email.
No, we can also like paraphrase.
Yeah, paraphrase it.
Perfect.
And we have one more little question that we ask also all the time at the end of the podcast, and it's about merienda, which I'm gonna ask you first. Do you know what a merienda is?
In Puerto Rico, merienda is a snack.
Yes.
A snack. I love meriendas, but I don't think we have one specific. I think everyone chooses their crazy meriendas.
If you could, ¿cómo se llama? Recommend a merienda for our audience this week. What merienda you recommend? But it doesn't have to be food. It can be like a song or following somebody on Instagram who posts astrological signs or watching a TV show. It can be anything.
I would say they should. I'm gonna recommend my brother's song.
Yeah.
Yes.
My brother.
What's it called?
Agüero remix. It's like a merengue trap song.
Sick. Okay, what's the artist's name?
Rafa Pabón.
Rafa
Pabón.
Pabón. Rafa Pabón.
Agüero.
Google it.
It's like a merengue trap song. It's so fun. It's for Christmas.
What?
There's so many things.
Yeah, because in Christmas we go all out with merengue and songs, and we get really excited this time of year. We eat pork, rice, and beans, and merengue.
Beautiful.
What a great way to end this podcast.
It's been so fun, and it's interesting to talk about Latin identity. Like I never get to talk about that.
No, it's fascinating.
We'll do a whole podcast about language.
Yeah, and songs.
We'll do a video blog podcast. Thank you so much.
We are speaking to you from the shores of this beautiful Zaga Igan, known to some as Lake Ontario, in Toronto, or Dougarondo. This is the ancestral territory of the Haudenosaunee, or Longhouse Confederacy, the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum and Treaty 13, also known as the Toronto Purchase.
At Aluna, we remember that people can begin to heal when they are hurt. We are committed to artful participation in disagreements. We are committed to unsettling ourselves towards connection, respect, and justice for all people who now live in this city, which has been a meeting place since time immemorial.
Radio Aluna Theatre is produced by Aluna Theatre, with support from the Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, the Canada Council for the Arts, the Department of Canadian Heritage, and the Metcalf Foundation.
Aluna Theatre is Beatriz Pisano and Trevor Shelness, with Sue Ballant. Radio Aluna Theatre is produced by Mónica Garrido and Camila Diaz-Varela. For more about Aluna Theatre, visit us at alunatheatre.ca, follow at Aluna Theatre on Twitter or Instagram, or like us on Facebook.
Miigwech and Nyawangoa.